you're going to be a pro coder, are you doing it with your bare hands? No, you're not. That's silly. It's just the point of being a pro coder is to build code, to write apps and stuff. And to do that, we need tools. There, had to move the mic around, so now it's out of alignment from where I usually have it. So I'm tweaking my environment here. So today we got a jam-packed session to talk about what are some key tools that we have, and there's a lot of different flavors of tools out there to delve into. And if you'll notice, I posted a comment. Check it out and share with me what is your favorite pro coder tool, and you're allowed to post more than one. We will let that slide. Don says, "Good morning, Greg. Good morning to you, Don. Good to see you." Don's one of our illustrious members, where can actually join the membership here. Let's throw that up there. If you go to member.procoder.io, anytime we do a video, if I put out a video, I've been doing the show a bit lately, and I haven't put a lot of standalone upload videos lately. But if you're a member of the Pro Coder team, then you get to see the videos first, and there's some other goodies in there that you get first dibs on. Basically, everything I write goes out to the members first, so check it out. Uh, good morning from B Eli. Good morning / evening. I don't know where you are, B Eli, but it's morning over here. We're over here in the middle of Tennessee, but I've been seeing people popping up from all over the place on the show, so it's glad to see you here. Now, gotta watch because my browser keeps jumping in front of where I have my notes up here. But what I want to share with you today in today's jam-packed session is what are some critical tools you need to be a pro coder? And let's just jump right to that critical tool that everybody needs, an IDE, or an integrated development environment. Now, if you're a glutton for punishment, you can get out there on social media and try to talk to people about here. Just go out there and tell them what the best IDE is. This is it. No argument, hands down, and kick off a flame war. Your integrated development environment is, back in the day, I can remember long ago from the days of Borland, I had something like Turbo Pascal, Turbo C, Turbo C++, what have you. And basically, it was an editor coupled with a compiler. And so you could edit, you could then hit a keystroke and compile and go from there. And it's grown so far since then. But some of the biggies that we have today are things like IntelliJ IDEA. If we're talking about Java, IntelliJ IDEA, VS Code, Eclipse, the Spring Tool Suite, which is an Eclipse flavoring with a Spring flavored Eclipse instance. So, and if you broaden your horizons to other tools out there's other things out there like the JetBrains, the company behind IntelliJ IDEA, has things like WebStorm for JavaScript and developers, and they have PyCharm for Python developers. You got like VS Code from Microsoft has a lot of different supports in it for a different tool, different languages, different paradigms, whatever you're doing. My personal favorite has been IntelliJ IDEA. I've tried several other toolkits, and one of the things I'm kind of fascinated by IntelliJ IDEA is that it has an incredible amount of contextual awareness. So wherever I am, if you're just writing Java code, it can help you do the code completion stuff and look up libraries and stuff with fingertip knowledge. But I've been in situations where I'm sitting there writing a select statement, a SQL select statement inside a string. It's like it's a variable. It's like string query equals this string. I'm sitting there typing select, and IntelliJ is giving me code completion on the select statement in the context of the domain objects that are in the system. It's able to spot what the table names are for the domain mapping. And I'm kind of like, I didn't know it could do that. It's just the little bits of awareness that it brings. It's almost that's to me of higher power than compiling the code and generating the results and helping me to generate the bare classes when I get started with stuff. So it's almost like these tiny bits of knowledge that come to me at the right points in time are kind of some of the most valuable pieces to me. And this is probably, I think the competition is fierce, and I like that, because I think I've talked to fellow pro coders that use things like VS Code, and they're like, yeah, we've got that over there too, or to some degree, more or less. I think there's a constant ebb and flow, and I've heard of some people that essentially have all the IDEs. So you can check it out. Just about all of them have some form of a free tier. I don't know if they They all make everything free. IntelliJ IDEA, to get everything, for example, to get the Spring support in it, you have to pay for it, but it's not outrageous. It used to be a one-time fee that was a little steep, and I kind of prefer one-time fee over subscription stuff, but they've apparently pivoted to a subscription model. The subscription rate isn't outrageous if it's your day job, if you're a pro coder. And it may be possible that if you're a pro coder working for a shop, you may be able to get them to foot the bill for it. You may be able to pitch them to get it. And so, I like having good tooling. There's this balance, this between, well, how much do I have to pay? Am I paying? Well, the trade-off is, how much value does it bring me? If this tool is bringing me enough value that it's not causing me a constant churn and effort, and instead makes my life easier and more efficient at doing my job, it may be worth the cost. Okay. And maybe the cost, if something costs $120 a year, what is that, $10 a month? Is that really ludicrous? I mean, what can I get for $10? A supersized latte today. So is it worth spending one latte a month to get the right tool? I say yes. I don't know what your opinion is. Share it. Now, there's something else, that a counterpoint you need to an IDE. The IDE is really great when you're opening up projects, but every now and then you need to open up just raw files, different types of files, text files. Sometimes you get a project and it's not a per se Maven project, or it may have code buried down in subfolders. That's a Maven project, but some of the stuff at the top, it's unstructured. But you need to get in there and you need to interact with it. You need to be able to edit the text files. Well, in this case, you need what I call a plain text editor. There's a lot of them out there, but the thing that has always blown me away when someone showed it to me, maybe it was about 8 years ago, is Sublime Text. Sublime Text is it's the text editor that makes you think it's an IDE. It has a lot of contextual awareness. It doesn't have all of it. But I know of some people that actually use Sublime Text as their IDE. It's possible. And I know a handful of developers that are kind of like, the IDEs are a little too big for their taste. It's a little too much, and they use something like a plain text editor. Some of them use Sublime Text, some use other stuff, but the point is, there's options out there. And my suggestion isn't to go grab what is my favorite, or go grab what is somebody else's favorite. It's easy enough today to just go download several of them and try them out. And when I say try it out, I'm like, go give it 2 to 4 weeks of effort. Download a given IDE and try to commit to making that what you're going to use for the next 2 to 4 weeks, so you can get familiar with it enough that it can start to serve you, that it can start to be what you're using. I'm going to take the glasses off so I don't keep getting all this glare from the lights. And it also helps the camera. The camera uses my eye as the focal point. So go download an IDE and try it out long enough that you can get somewhat familiar, that it's helping you, that you're not learning to climb the hill of it, that you're not getting warmed up on it, because then you're going to be able to find out if it really helps you out. Now, if you sit down and try to work with me side by side, and it's an IDE you're not familiar with, but it is one that I'm familiar with, I know a lot of the hotkeys. I've learned a lot of the key combinations to jump, to navigate, to do stuff like that. So you can't use that as a comparison. So that's why I'm suggesting go use it for 2 to 4 weeks. You may learn some of the hotkeys, some of the stuff. You may make it where you're able to leverage it some, and you can get an inkling of if this is the tool for you, and then go try another IDE after that. And give them all a fair shake. Because to me, if you're going to be a pro coder, if you want to make this your career, then spending the next 3 months to scope out the scene of IDEs, to me, is worth it, to figure out what is going to best serve you for years to come. I got to the situation where I had used a particular setup with IntelliJ IDEA. We have a particular formatting style that we would use on Spring Data to structure our code. And when I got into Cockroach Labs and they sent me a work machine, I spent the time to go set up the same stuff, so I could at least let me bring myself up to the baseline of what I've been doing. So I downloaded IntelliJ IDEA because I have a subscription. I could install it on both my personal machine and my work machine, and they let me do that at this position. They let me pretty much pick whatever tool I need within reason. And then I then set up the defaults for doing this kind of formatting, so I could at least let me bring it up to where this machine's doing what I've always done. So I got the shortcuts, and then from here I can sit there and have the discussion with fellow teammates on what does code styling look like for their code that I'm going to be involved in. So this is where I like to have a good IDE and a good text editor to serve me. And the thing is we really live in this incredible prosperous age, because it used to be, IDEs cost hundreds if not thousands of dollars 20 years ago, and the idea of doing something on your own workstation what was cost prohibitive. So that's I mean, we used to have to pay for compilers, and what is it today? It's like, what do you want to do? We talked on the previous episode of the Pro Coder show on various things, like if you go to now now that's my train of thought. um if you're gonna do some little side project, little side hustle or something, you're like, well, what can I use? I'm not gonna use C++ because the compiler at work, that was a commercial grade license that cost thousands. I'm not gonna have that. Well, something that was free was Python, for example. Python was free, and it grew up and actually became adopted by the enterprise. But today we don't have the same issues. You can go out and get GCC and be writing C++ code in no time flat, or you can go download Java. Java is now easy to get with SDK man. So the opportunities are wide open. Go take advantage of them and check it out. Now we're talking about I think we got a comment here. What is this? My favorite way of writing code is using CLI. Now I don't know if you mean you like editing from the command line, for example, either using VI or Emacs, something like that. This is from SEU James. So if you want to elaborate on that, please do. That's cool. I think I know somebody that works on. Yes, right. It's a CSS consultant. All they do is CSS, no HTML, no JavaScript, just CSS. And I think they use VI or Emacs all the time. And so it's just a whole screen. Their whole machine is a text console editing environment. So do what you love. Now, this is we're talking about the tools. You can download stuff. I made a brief head nod to the fact that you can go get whatever kind of compiler you want. And what if you're using a Mac, the popular package manager today is Homebrew. So you can just do brew install whatever. So we got a follow-up comment. Cool. Thank you, Max. Thank you, OS 10, for giving me emojis when I do gestures. And if I can do the okay. SU James says it really depends, but a lot of times I edit code using the CLI. Well, you do it, man. You do it. All right. So we have the deal, so we have to use different tools. Like sometimes you need multiple stuff. Like you may have to install Go on your system. I have Macs. I like using Homebrew, but there's other, depending on what platform you're on, there's different tools to go manage that kind of stuff. And you can install GCC, if you're doing C++, whatever. You can go find out for a given target language what you need to install. But one of the neatest tools I've seen come onto the market in the past 10 years was SDK Man. You can go to sdkman.io, and basically it's a software development kit manager that lets you install this tool, and then you can sit there and install multiple versions of Java. It is part of the Java ecosystem, but it lets you install multiple versions of Maven, Gradle, and their SBT. And there's also other tools like that are in the Java ecosystem that you can have command line tools like JBang, for example. I think Groovy Shell. And so it makes it very easy to sit there and say, I need to have 5 different versions of Java based on what I'm supporting. Maybe you don't have to deal with that issue, but on Spring Team, we would support 3 or 4 versions, and some versions would be on Java 8, some would be on Java 17, and having something like SDK Man really, really made that simple. But something when we talk about tools for pro coders that I want to pivot to and discuss is setting up your environment. For that, I'm going to switch to this other angle that I have for the show, so you can get a little bit wider glance here. So one of the first things I want you to seriously consider investing in is getting ergonomic. I'm going to make an adjustment to the camera here. It's just a little tweak here, but I want you to see where this is the machine here that the show is being produced on. Okay, this is a MacBook Pro, and I want you to notice what it's on here. This is a metal stand that I bought from 12 South. You can look up 12 South. They're a vendor that specializes in Apple friendly products, but you don't have to use their brand, but I happen to like it. If I just pick up this thing, it's a nice little stand here. And what it does is it raises this machine so it's eye height with me. Now it's hard to see the lines at this angle, but I wanted you to get a wider perspective. So instead of me looking down and causing strain on my back, encourages me to sit upright. So this is something that costs about $100. And I think it's a valuable investment to get something like that if you have, for example, a laptop like that. Now, anytime you get the stand, it's very hard to sit there and be coding like that. And so that's why I've got a Bluetooth keyboard. And I like the trackpad, but you can also get a Bluetooth mouse or something as your input device. Now, let me grab a sip here.
If you're enjoying the show, give it a big thumbs up and share it with a friend right now.
I want to show you here. This is my personal machine that I'm using to produce the show on. Okay. And this is my work machine. This is another MacBook Pro. And the MacBook Bluetooth these Bluetooth keyboards aren't keen on jumping from device to device. So Bluetooth inherently kind of sticks to one device that it gets registered with, unless there's extra handling baked in. Like if you have something like earbuds, they're designed to jump from device to device, but most Bluetooth peripherals are kind of dumb on that front, in that they don't really handle that. So I went and got a new set of Bluetooth keyboards that would be set up on that. So that's why I have these sitting over here, so that when I'm done producing the Pro Coder show, I can then get going on doing my day job at Cockroach Labs. But I like being able to lift this up so it's at a better angle. This thing that I have here, it's a little, you can see edges of it here from this camera angle, but this is basically a 42-inch 4K TV. This is a 4K TV, and amazingly, one of the things where the prices have been coming down is TV sets. It's ludicrous how much TV you can get for what little price, and now everything runs on HDMI. So if you get yourself a big screen and you have it up to where you're principally reading, I'm trying to show this is my eye line. This is where I principally read. And so I'm looking at the screen for doing the show right here. Okay. And this is a nice setup. And this doesn't cost a lot. This is not a bad investment. Now the whole thing, one thing I took advantage of, it was a few years ago. The company gave us a particular grant of money to go invest in office stuff. So I went and bought this desk. I think this is 5 feet, or is this 60 inches long? It's 60 or 72 inches, but this is thick. This is an electric standing desk. It's got a control pad down here. Now I would demonstrate it, except the camera up here is on a separate mount, and the monitor would whack the camera. So I'm not going to do that. But what I do is I've every now and then I try to stand up. I just push a button and I have program settings. I have this height at one setting, and then I have the standing one, so I can stand up and everything just rises up so I can operate on it and have it at a good angle. And sometimes if I feel something's off a little bit, I can just lower it a little bit or raise it, make little tweaks to the environment to try, because one of the things I want you to think about is, if you're going to make this your career and be a pro coder, it's very easy to sit on a couch and be hunched on a laptop or something like that for extended periods of time. And that's a lot of wear and strain on your joints, muscles, and ligaments. Okay. And I don't want you working 80 hours a week and in any situation, let alone in a strained thing. Our first glimpse into ergonomics was the fact that, in the industrial era where people were having to do basically assembly line jobs, that was very rough on people. And so they started to invent devices to help relieve the strain. They came up with the need for certain key breaks and all. And I want to tell you that just because you're a pro coder and not working on an assembly line doesn't mean that there's not wear and strain from repetitive injuries available here too. So I want you to be able to invest some of the thought into getting the right tools to help you with that. Now there's some links in the thing wherever you're catching that. Probably not on X, but on YouTube, and I believe on LinkedIn. I've tried to put links to some of these things. Now, some of these things are just redirects to help you find the stuff. Other things, they are affiliate links. I may make a nickel or two, probably not much more than that, but I just want to put that out there. I've got some stuff here. So part of it is the layout of your workstation. It's something to put into. You don't have to get a microphone like a mic stand like I have, unless you're going to start making video content. But if you want to come on in, the water's fine. But I just want to share some of these tools. Now, let me flip back here and talk about some more parts of the environment. So not everything is your physical environment. Not everything is your physical machine that you have or keyboard. There's some other productivity tools. And one of the most powerful things I've gotten, at least on a Mac, is called the Alfred app, like Batman's butler, Alfred. It's neat because the app symbol is a little bowler hat. Maybe I should have gotten a bowler hat symbol to ready to upload for the show. But anyway, it's a neat tool because it has a lot of productivity baked into it. It has a free tier, but you can pay for upgrades to get even more power out of it. The first thing it does is it indexes every single file on your machine. So with a shortcut, you can find it very rapidly with just with a fragment of the file name. It's easier to find. Now, if you're saying, "Gee, I already get that with OS 10's Spotlight feature," then I need to tell you that Alfred's search is a lot better than that. And the testimony is actually set it up on my wife's MacBook Air and showed her how to use it, and stuff that she had a hard time finding with Spotlight, she was able to unlock rapidly. And part of whacking the mic here, part of the power, part of the knowledge, the resource at your hands is all the data spread across your files. When you start using Alfred and being able to unlock information you have tucked away in files, you begin to realize, if I put a little extra thought in the file names that I'm creating and therefore can find them with the Alfred app, you unlock a lot of knowledge. And so that's critical. I use Alfred all the time to find a spreadsheet or a particular graphic image that I rendered. And so when I go in and create these spreadsheets in the first place, I try to put enough contextual awareness in the file name that I know I can find that file later and not have to recreate it. And that gets me to the information in the file that I'm looking for. And that's what I call a keen productivity improvement. Now, another thing I have is I have notes, and let me here, I'll share this with you. Let me let you in on the inside. Let me do a screen share. So what I have here, and here you're getting to see the inside. First of all, on StreamYard, I got both cameras going. You can see them both on the left-hand side. But these are my notes for the Pro Coder show that I have right now. I want to close it. So over here, these are part of my notes I have, and these get shared. These are future topics that I'm looking about to have from future episodes of the show, and you're getting to see everything. And over here, if I can, let me see. No, I don't want that. Okay, I don't need that. That's worthless. Okay, so what's nice about this is that I'm able to. Let's go back to here. So with that, I'm able to sit there and write notes down on my laptop. I can keep a keynote. And then the thing is I was going to grab my phone. My phone is the second camera on the show. On my phone, it syncs automatically. So it's sharing it. So those notes are up to date. So sometimes I have sat down and written blog posts using the Notes app. And then I'm able to then go to my laptop, finish it out. I don't have an iPad, but if I did, well, I do have an iPad, but I don't use it for that. It's an ancient iPad, so I don't really use it that way. But you can go to an iPad, finish something out, and then when I have an article done, I can then go publish it. And those are times when I can use some of these moments where I'm in the line at school waiting to pick up the kids, and I've got 20 minutes, and I've had an epiphany, and I want to capture it, so I write it down. And that's a real handy productivity note. And I like starting notes for key things. And it's almost like each note is its own kind of database. And this is ironic because I saw a Twitter thread erupting over the weekend about whether or not Microsoft Excel is a database. And it's like, Excel is not a database. It's not and I was like, maybe not in the traditional word, but so much knowledge can be stuffed into spreadsheets and we can do stuff. I wouldn't run a full-blown system on top of Note, but using the Note app, but I would certainly leverage it for what it serves me as. It's a nice collaborative tool that I can interact between things. And the thing is, you can also, if they have other people that you're collaborating with and they happen to have the Note app, you can share notes with other people. And so you can really collaborate on that front. And it's quite handy. Now, one of the other tools that I use, since I have this laptop here, I'm gonna switch back to the other angle. Since I have this screen here and I have this here, and at other times I'll unhook the wires and take my laptop somewhere else to work. I constantly was having to shuffle windows around. Like at one time I'd have all the windows arranged correctly, and then I'd hook it up to the big screen and suddenly the windows would jump to some other place. And I found an app out there called the Stay app by Cordless Dog. And there's a link for it down below. It's just a link to the app. There's no affiliate stuff with that at all. But I found out that I could, in a given screen configuration, I can tell it to memorize where all the windows are. And then when I unplug it, it jumps to the next configuration. So at each setup, I arrange all the windows, I record it with the app with the hotkey, and then it remembers when I go back to that screen configuration, it puts the windows into that configuration. Was that clear as mud? And it's really one of those things that I'm no longer fiddling with windows, or I'm only just a little tweak, like, okay, I'm going to slide the browser over a little, but that way I always have in this setup, I always put like Slack and instant messaging over here. And for the show, for example, I have Audio Hijack running over here that processes the sound input and does some pre-processing for the show. And that way I can have everything configured the way I want to without wasting lots of time on it. So that's part of another environmental tool if you're going to be a pro coder. Now, if you're getting value out of today's show, I want you to smash the like button or share it with other people, depending on what platform you're on.
If you're enjoying the show, give it a big thumbs up and share it with a friend right now.
We did have a comment or question of sorts. So B. Eli said, funny thing, I never use any of those. Directly configure them in IntelliJ, smiley emoji. Maybe I'm missing something SDK Man can provide. So, well, SDK Man it lets you on the command line, you can pick which versions of Java you want to download. You can then switch them on the command line if you're needing to run different versions of Maven, or I want to check out a different branch and I need to switch from Java 17 to Java 8. I can do that outside the IDE. Something I did to integrate with IntelliJ is that, like, if the whole team would move up to another specific version of, say, Java 8.352, for example, I would use SDK Man as my tool to pull down that version to install it locally. And then I go into IntelliJ and I readjust it so that I have IntelliJ looking in the SDK Man folder for where all the versions of Java are, and then I'll add that new version on as the version I'm going to use when I'm inside IntelliJ. So sometimes I'm inside the IDE and I want to use a specific version of Java. I'll let SDK Man be the tool that installed it on my behalf. And other times I need to be on the terminal window doing stuff like either Maven or Gradle, and SDK Man lets me flip versions of Java on the command line in a given shell. So that's That's where it's kind of handy for me, at least. Now, some of the, let's see, what are some other tools that we're involved with when it gets to being a pro coder? Now, I talked about personal tools and what you're going to set up and workstation environments and things like that, but that's not the only tools that we're involved with. Some of the tools are handed down up above, what your team is going to use. And I want to call these like for your comm tools, your communications tools. And the first thing in any team you're probably going to be dealing with is some form of instant messaging. Okay. I remember when IM was kind of emerging as something 15 to 20 years ago, thereabouts. It was sort of, I don't know, there was this uncertainty about it. You had to go get clearance from program management, things like that. But now it really is the thing, such that there's now, it's not just freebie tools. The closest thing people saw was tools like IRC, Internet Relay Chat, back in the day. That was more of a social thing you could get on and yuck it up with your buddies, or that kind of stuff. But now we have companies running, I've seen ads in the Times Square in New York or on TV for things like Slack. So you need tools where you can DM your teammates, and you can use things like Slack, HipChat. There's like 2 to 3 dozen of these out there you can go find. We use Slack here. We used Slack on the spring team. Before that, we had used HipChat before that, before Slack kind of emerged. And before that, before HipChat had entered the scene, we were using Skype messaging. Basically, each of these tools, you can DM people one-on-one. You can start up on the fly chats with people. Like, I'm going to chat with these 3 people and have, it's just basically a textual discussion. You can have threads within a thing, and then you can also have channels. Now, every tool calls it different stuff, differently. Slack, they're called channels, and they're supposed to be certain, key topics. And what's cute is a lot of them, if you learn ASCII Doctor, how to do ASCII Doctor formatting, a lot of the tools let you format your messages using those shorthand codes. So you can wrap something in stars and it will make it bold, or you can use the underscores to make them italicized. And if you put links, and it will give you nav links for people. And so once again, I'm a fan of, go ahead, embrace the tools that they hand you and start learning the hotkeys. So I even have a tool I have here for running the show, helping me run the show, is an Elgato Stream Deck XL with 32 buttons. So it's got shortcut buttons to do stuff. Like, I can play sound files, but I went and installed, there's a Slack plugin, so I could sit there and jump to certain channels or something using Slack, using the Stream Deck, because I use Slack so much. Now, another thing you have with teams, especially if you're going to be remote, is video chats. And something that really rose up in popularity during the COVID lockdowns was Zoom. And Zoom became so wildly popular, people ran out and started buying stock in ticker symbol Zoom, who, by the way, was not the company behind the Zoom video meeting. That was somebody else's company, but a lot of people didn't know that. So you're going to have video chats, and some of the biggest ones out there are, like I mentioned, Zoom for doing video chats. And Zoom has a lot of features, whether you're doing a group chat, they now have, you can do webinars, things like that. But there's other ones, like Microsoft Teams is another platform for doing that. And what you're going to find out is some of the big shops that have office tools will also have some form of video tool. That's why Microsoft Office has Microsoft Teams, because why give that up? Why if you already got your customer base on this set of tools, why not offer them this other critical tool? But there's also, if your team is using the Google Stack, is that what you call it? There's Google Meetings, and that's what on Cockroach Labs, what we're using is we use Google Meetings as for our scheduled meetings. We use the Google Calendar, we use Google Mail, Google Meetings. It works. But if I was on a team that was based on Microsoft Outlook, etc., then we'd probably be using Microsoft Teams. And to me, frankly, I really don't care. It's just, where is everybody? I need to book the meeting. What's important to me is the versatility of it. So if I'm booking a meeting, I want to be able to, with no effort, make it a video call, send it out to everybody, and have it manage it for me. Okay. One of the things I like a good office tool suite is, I need to schedule a meeting I need to see when everybody's available. I want the calendar to handle daylight savings time changes, which if you find out in an international team, not every country does it, let alone changes at the same time. And that's where I delegate that responsibility to the calendar tool. We're going to book it. We're going to agree on this time frame. There may be a turnover of times. If it's too much, people can communicate, but I like letting the tools handle that stuff for me. The point I am doing as a pro coder is I need to meet with these three people. We need to discuss a particular topic. I'm going to sit down and write a document. I'm going to link to the document in my meeting invitation. I'm going to ask the calendar tool to set us up a video call. These tools are great at integrating with whether you use Google Meetings or a Zoom chat, what have you. And then I want it to remind me. So basically, I'm using that to help manage the collaboration because what I'm needing, I don't want to get caught up in tool management. I'm trying to do pro coding management. So I need to get this task done. And then I found, something that Slack has added recently. They call it a huddle, but it's a video chat. If I book a meeting with the calendar tool, I'm going to set up a Google meeting, but here and there, I sometimes need an on the fly meeting. And so I ping my boss to say, hey, I got a question. Can you chat for 10 minutes? And then he says, sure. We open up a Slack, right there. You can tap a button, open up a Slack huddle, and there we go. So, these are some of the tools. And guess what? Everything out there is getting video meetings. I had learned when I got nixed from the spring team back in November, I would meet with some friends and colleagues and stuff. And I was not on a paid plan for Zoom anymore. So Zoom limits you to X amount of minutes. LinkedIn doesn't. LinkedIn has video chat. So I could go and DM somebody. I could send a message to a friend through LinkedIn, and then I could create a video meeting right then and there. And we could sit there and chat. And I didn't have a clock running on me. So video chats are vital. It's a critical skill to being a pro coder is driving that kind of stuff. Now, one of my other bullet points was go talk about the Office tools, whether you're talking about Microsoft Office, whether you're about Word documents, PowerPoint slides, what have you, or one of the other biggies is Google Office. I'm talking about Google Docs, Google Spreadsheets, what have you. And, I have a preference for the Google tool suite, but I don't let that eat me up. I have a preference for that. It works very collaboratively. It's easy to go whip up a Google Doc and then send a link to 5 people on Slack and say, could you give me the feedback? Because the whole point is I don't want to sit there and argue about tools. I want to get the work done. So this is some of the stuff to do is just hey, these are the tools the team's using. Let me dive in and start using them. Let me use them to the best of my abilities. Now, I've talked about comm tools, the kind of stuff to collaborate, to design, to build. Let me see here. There's some more comments coming in. Keep the comments coming in if you do stuff. Oh, I like this one. This is a good one from Don. I use Calendly to allow my team and customers to see my availability. That's a key thing for pro coder and something I had been lax in paying attention to was making sure that people could see my availability. To be a pro coder, you need to share that. So it's vital that you block out time for when are you on the clock? Are you working 9 to 5, what have you? Okay. Put in appointments for things like your lunch break. Put in, if you need to go do a task, maybe you've got a personal phone call coming up on Friday or something like that for an hour. Put it in your calendar and mark it as busy so people don't try to schedule stuff around it. Calendly is a good one. I'm working on building that as a tool to integrate because I need to get more pro coders to come on the show, and I'm looking at setting up a Calendly page to help manage that. So that's a good one. I try to do that. But everybody that I'm interacting with work-wise is 99% inside the company. So I use the company calendar, but just as well, you can, if you're having to interact with a lot of people outside your shop, maybe you're independent, something like that. If you're a consultant, then something like Calendly is perfect for that fit. So and Calendly is great for, I'm going to set up a specific calendar and I'm a consultant and these are the hours you can book me for a paid consult. You can put your availability into a Calendly calendar, and so people can come in and book those slots, and you can integrate that with your payment system, things like that. So there's a whole world of SaaS tools to help you manage your efforts and actually help you make money being a pro coder. We got another question. Keep them coming. What are your thoughts on the virtual rooms or virtual offices that are now becoming a thing these days? Now, I don't know if you're talking about the I can't remember the name of it. There's a vendor which you can pay for a subscription, and it's to give you office space. You can contact them and they let you come in and use their office space. Now, you said virtual room, so probably can't. We're probably not talking about that, but I know about these services where, in some of the bigger cities, you can basically you get access to X number of hours of office space. So you don't have to go buy an office. And if you're having to meet face to face with a customer, they don't have to come to your house. Now, if you have a name of a service, that you're this one I'm less familiar with compared to video chat. So I know I've heard about the virtual office stuff, and I've also heard about the co-op workspaces where you can pay a subscription fee and you can go work in sort of a pseudo office environment. And um, I don't know if I think they had a business open up in my town in the past 2 to 3 years that has something like that. Um, where a co-op space. I haven't really done that myself, but I've talked to fellow coders that really need the social environment. I'm cool sitting in this room all by my lonesome self. But I understand, some people need a more interactive thing. And so do you need the to me that's frank, that's distracting to me. Now, something to do from time to time, though, is that I like to do, at least, is to get up and go to a coffee shop to work for a few hours. And sometimes my wife will want to go there for a change of scenery, and I like going there and plugging in these bad boys and putting on a playlist or something like that. So that's cool. Deshaun, I have not seen that emoji. It's good to see you here, buddy. I miss you. It's a red hand waving. Okay, that's what it is. Red hand waving. Red hand. Okay. Now, what's some of the other stuff? Now, let's talk a little bit about like our process management. If we're gonna be a pro coder, you can't dodge tickets and issues, or what you want to call it. So there's different stuff out there. That some of the biggest hitters are things like GitHub issues. GitHub has managed to emerge as one of the predominant technology stacks out there for source code management. And where the source code is, to use issues is great. One of the other heavy hitters that's out there is Atlassian's Jira management. And do not ask me what Jira stands for, because I really don't know. But I've seen a lot of other ticket management solutions. But a tool that can interact with the source code is fantastic. So if you're able to write comments and linked tickets, for example, that's fantastic. And these two are great. And basically, you need to learn what your team's using. Okay, I want you to go to when you get that new position, that new cool wicked spot as a pro coder, and you're working there. I want you to do your best to learn the tools that they're using. Are they using GitHub issues? In that case, learn what their process is. Do they comment? Do they mark up? Do they list relevant tickets in the commit messages? There's a video on the channel, on the YouTube channel, that is, we're talking about what makes a good commit message. I think one of the beginning launches for the Pro Coder Show was to talk about that. Did I just do a thumbs down? I'm gonna have to disable that feature. That is crazy, but it does give me stuff to talk about. So, when it comes to issues, it's good you want to link stuff together. Tickets can be linked to pull requests, this kind of stuff. So learn your issue management thing. And something that I spend a bit of time talking about is if you go grab your copy of 12 rules for pro coders at 12rules.io, I talk about how to set up your ticket management solution to serve you, so you're not serving it. What some recommended structures for labeling tickets, applying metadata that helps you manage your ticket flow. Okay, that helps you get your arms around it, so you're not drowning in tickets, if you will. So you have some sense of a flow. And there's other stuff about some ticket process and processes. For example, when tickets come in, it's a good idea to triage them. In other words, try to at least sort them into the right bucket, give them some initial disposition. Doesn't mean you have to solve it, but sometimes within 5 minutes, you can at least figure out, is there enough here for somebody to act on, or do I need to push it back to the person that opened it? That kind of stuff. And some of the stuff that I cover in this book. And the same tactics. Whereas the book talks about GitHub issues, the same tactics apply to Jira. Jira has tags and things like that. So some of the same fundamental metadata you need to put some thought into to structure that, because I can't think of a shop you're going to go work for where you're writing code and they're not using some form of ticket management. Now, if there's another one out there, put it in the comments and let you know. I'm like, okay, Don has got some trivia knowledge for us. The word Jira is derived from the Japanese word Gojira, meaning Godzilla. And it's like, is that for reals? I think I could believe that. I think I could believe that. Mm-hmm. Um, there's Sean's got Deshaun's got a comment here. Sometimes I'm most productive away from my desk. I'm in a hotel at the moment. Well, that's the guy. This man's always on the move for being one of our, see, it's still there, one of our top-notch advocates on the spring team. One of their top-notch. It's sad. Okay. Now that's cool. I get that. Sometimes you need a change up. You need a change of scenery, and I agree with that. So that's the other reason why I like the laptop. I like a laptop. I can grab my entire work environment, put it in a backpack, and go somewhere else. Google, what does Jira stand for? No, Don, it's supposed to be Chat GPT. Yes, Chat GPT. And then you go double check it on Google to make sure that Chat GPT got it right. Is that the way that works? Now, if we're talking about issues and ticket management, that connects us to change requests and patches to the system. And for this, you're probably using GitHub. There's other stuff out there for doing patch management. There's GitLab. Okay. I have not used GitLab personally to actually do stuff. So if you have, put it in the comments, because and what your opinion of it is, by all means. But we use GitHub's pull request feature because it's first, it was just a diff tool. That's kind of the fundamentals. It's like, here's the diff, and somebody's asking and it's a request to say, I'm requesting that you pull these changes into the main branch. But they've expanded on it to where it's got a review-based system baked into it. You can make reviews. You can go to different lines of the patch and make comments or ask questions, and you can submit and say, my review's done, or I'm asking that you apply these changes before you move forward. To me, it's very effective because this is the tool that has the source code, so it's most empowered to do that kind of stuff. And so just getting familiar with pull requests and stuff is something else I talk about in the book. And then being able to review the changes, pull requests through GitHub. I've seen pure source code edits. On the team that I'm on, it's not just about building code. We're building training and decks and stuff. And we're, like I've mentioned on other episodes of the show, we're using Reveal.js as our tool to do that. So it's a very text-oriented set of slides that we're building, and we're able to do reviews using GitHub pull requests, and that affords us the chance to do rebasing and things like that. And finally, merge the changes in. Oh, Don's my backup here. Microsoft Copilot agrees with the Jira meeting. Okay, I think we've got confirmation. Okay, I throw them up and Don knocks them down. Okay, so essentially, if you're going to join any team, it's vital you go learn the tools they're using. Learn the GitHub stuff that they're managing. Not the GitHub. Learn the tools that they're using to manage everything. What Office stack, what comms tools are they using? What are they using for issue management? What is the process? That's part of what I'm learning on Cockroach Labs. Is our director of training is the one. He's come in. He's worked in training for several years and has he understands what process is. He's bringing process to a content creation engine. So we're building the system up to train our customers with. And so I'm sitting there, I'm drinking it in to learn how to do their process. And you know, while I'm learning the process, it's also to bring my feedback, because I've worked in this kind of I've worked in similar stuff. I've worked in these tools. So he says, bring the feedback. If you got feedback for improvements to make, do it. And so that's what I'm trying to do. It's a collaborative effort to learn this kind of thing. And some of the others, some of the other handy dandy tools I have are, I put a link in it, but what's weird is I have these little earbuds, you know, and I use them every day. These things I've got an affiliate link for these because I absolutely love these and I use them all the time. I've had iPhones for 15 years, I think. I'm trying to think if it was 2009 is when I got I got an iPhone 3GS back then. That was 15 years ago. And did I do the math right? Yeah, that's 15 years. So every phone would come with those wired earbuds, the long wire, plug it in. I'd never use them. I'd put them in my nightstand and they would gather dust. I never used them. I didn't see the value in fiddling. It was fiddly. If something takes me 30 seconds to set up, I'm not doing it. I used to have a standing desk. It was a thing that you set it on top of your desk and had little shocks, air gas chambers to lift the thing up, and you had to reach down and do it. That was 30 seconds effort. I never did that. This thing, I hit a button, it rises up, no effort. I use this all the time. The wired earbuds I never used. They were too fiddly. So they happened to have a sale on Amazon. They were steeply, like, these suckers were not what I call cheap, but they had marked them down like 25%. And I said, fine, I'm going to buy them. My wife uses them all the time. Maybe there's something there. I bought them. And then I started carrying them in my pocket all the time. This little tiny case, it fits in my pocket. And I would put them in. I would go to the coffee shop. I'd put them in and put on a playlist. And I was like, that was cool. No effort. It connects automatically to the laptop. And then I noticed I started using them all the time. It became very easy. Put on a playlist. Oh, I need to have a meeting. Put the earbuds in. I can sit there and listen to it and not disrupt other people. And I noticed I could sit there in some situations. I'd use my phone and watch a YouTube video with the earbuds on. Now, a lot of the time before I had the earbuds, I would turn on closed captioning on YouTube. And that's how I learned that YouTube's closed captioning is phenomenal. There is just literally hundreds of hours of content I've consumed using closed captions. The automatically generated closed caption stuff on YouTube is fantastic. But now if I have the earbuds, I can do that instead. I've gone and taken the kids to piano lessons, and where I'm sitting in the car in the driveway of the piano teacher while one of my kids is in there, and I've sat there and taken a training class on my laptop using a hotspot and the earbuds. And I was like, freaky, it's game changing. And I love these things. So I put a link in there. It's an affiliate link. Maybe that's cruel and vile to sit there and try to get 50 cents back for that, but check it out. I'm just telling you, it's an interesting experience, and it may help you be a better pro coder. Now, I've thrown a list out, a bunch of stuff, my opinion on stuff. What's your opinion on what the best coding tools are for you? What helps you become a better pro coder? Now, while you're composing your answer, please put it in the comments and let people know about it. And what I want you to do is go out there and be professional.
This episode is over, but your code writing journey continues. Visit procoder.io to find links and resources to help you become a pro coder.